Ladies and gentlemen, it's all over. Everything that you once knew in your great country is all pretty much over. Funny coming off a episode in which I talked about not being black pilled, but it's over. It's another September 11th in which the country you once knew has changed forever. This country now, if you don't know, if you haven't been aware, even though I've been saying it, tweeting it for feels like years now, what's over is there is no common ground. There is no live and let live. There is no more reaching across the aisle, if you will. And nothing signifies that more than what happened yesterday to a 31-year-old Charlie Kirk. What do you say? Pretty much at a loss for words. Don't worry, we're not going to be showing any video. I wish I had never seen the video. And yes, I saw the people who said, no, you should definitely watch the video for reasons. And they do have a slightly valid point. I can't argue their point. But Charlie Kirk was murdered for speaking. We don't know who the shooter is. We don't know the shooter's motives. Everything is still very fresh. Yes, I know they found what they believe to be the murder weapon, the rifle, with some things scratched or written on the remaining cartridges. But we don't know anything yet. And we can't take that as the gospel. But the one thing we all intuitively know is that this was not someone on Charlie's side based on the things that he believed in, said, and defended pretty much every day for the last decade, 13 years, whatever. If you're not familiar with Charlie Kirk, you probably are now. A very honest human being who engaged in rigorous debate, which inevitably cost him his life, which is beyond sad. Leaves behind a wife, 2 kids, 2 very young kids. He's only 31. And he was killed because he dared to engage in one of the most sacred things in our country, and that is speech and debate. How dare he? The most sacred thing to so many, not only in the United States, but across the world. So many people don't have the freedom of speech. And so many, especially in the United Kingdom, are having it crushed every single day. And this man spent years of his life defending it, expressing it, exercising it, engaging in it, all of it. Just still at a loss for words for what even happened yesterday. It is it's very odd that I'm sitting here on September 11th, 2024, 24 years after the September 11th terrorist attack in the United States. And I have a lot of the same feelings that I had in 2001. A lot of confusion, a lot of anger, and a lot of what the hell happens next. It's pretty obvious what was going to happen next in 2001. It just wasn't a matter of when, it was where and who. And a lot of the people out there are feeling the same way today that I am. Very angry. Understandably angry. We want vengeance. We want accountability. We want someone to pay for this. We want a whole group of people to pay for this. Let's be honest. There's so much tension rising right now between the two sides. These are irreconcilable differences, unfortunately. I don't know how you get over things like this. When you have one side that is dead set that it's their way or the highway, and they can't be reasoned with, and they've weaponized their minions, if you will, their side, their apparatchiks against you. They've called you every name that they possibly can call you, every horrific term, so many times that they've almost ruined the meaning of those terms, from racist to Nazi to Hitler to all of it. It wouldn't even make sense to play any of the video from any number of the people that you're thinking of in your head right now, who are the talking heads, the bald talking heads with the really nice set of glasses, sitting in a studio somewhere in a tweed jacket or some fancy blouse, with their hair done, if they have it, their makeup done perfectly, their nails done, all of that, and talking as they move their head back and forth and tell you how evil your side is and how that it's all your fault, and that Charlie Kirk caused his own demise with his hate speech, quote unquote, where they can't define hate speech. And when they do, it tends to be all of the things that make sense. Like a man cannot become a woman and a woman cannot become a man. Well, that's hate speech, and you hate all transgender people, and now you want them erased from planet Earth. And if you elect Donald Trump, he's going to round them all up and put them in camps and do whatever, and God knows what. And yet after a full term, and we're what? Close to a year of a second term, no one's been rounded up yet. But boy, you better look out, because the thing you just did, one of your apparatchiks just did, was assassinate a friend of the administration. Someone who's known by name, has phone numbers, has been a champion of the president, who is very good, on very good terms, if not good friends, with the vice president, and knows everybody in the administration. God help you all if Donald Trump really is all of the things you said that he is. Because if he is, it's game on. And maybe it should be game on. I know a lot of folks in my orbit that would just look the other way as the feds started kicking in doors, taking down Antifa types, hardcore leftist types, anyone who said certain things. And I get it. I totally get it. We had one of our biggest champions, not only of the right, but of our country, our founding, everything this country has stood for, and all the good that this country has done in the past and will do in the future, was murdered. Then we were lied to by the other side, saying that the rhetoric of people, not only himself, but people on his same side, and their beliefs and the rest of the amendments and our protections and our rights caused this. So, of course, we want vengeance, and the deceit of it all is they act like there's some sort of common ground. If there was just one more law, then that guy wouldn't have had his firearm to do this. Funny you say that, because it happened on a college campus where you can't have a firearm. But I'll tell you where they can't have a firearm. They can have a firearm on the firing squad in Utah, because it's one of the few states that has an execution method known as the firing squad. And their governor, pretty pissed off. People around him, pretty pissed off. And people all the way around are very pissed off. A lot of this started with the Ukrainian woman in Charlotte who was viciously and brutally stabbed to death on public transit. Miss Irina Zarutska. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that somewhat correctly. Stabbed to death on video by a crazy person with a criminal record that probably doesn't even fit on this sheet of paper for some reason, who was still out there to terrorize and murder an innocent human being. It started there, at least recently started there. Just before it started, actually just before that, if I remember the dates correctly, it started with the transgender shooter in Minnesota killing 2 innocent lives, children, at the Catholic school in Minneapolis, I believe. At which point I defended every trans person's right to bear arms, and I still do defend their right to bear arms. You know, the rhetorical temperature of this country has been running high for quite some time now, basically around 2016, when Donald Trump dared to run for president of the United States. And ever since then, the rhetoric has been ratcheted up day by day, line by line, minute by minute, from the talking heads on the left. Whether it's newspaper or TV or it's tweets or Facebook posts or whatever, the Donald Trump is Hitler mantra has been running high, on high, for a long time. He's a Russian puppet. He's Putin's puppet. He does this, he does that. You know, when you come out and you say that it's okay to punch Nazis, and then you call everyone a Nazi, don't be shocked when innocent people get hurt and punched and kicked and all of the things. And this is the culmination of all of that nonsense. This is it. It doesn't even matter if the shooter is on the left, the right, the middle, or somewhere in between, or whatever. Because the political rhetoric has been so high and so much lies, somebody felt the need to go get vengeance for that side or that thing or that person or that group, whatever, and they went out and killed an innocent man for no reason whatsoever. None. Nothing that makes sense. Not that there would be any reason why you would go and shoot an innocent person. But this is a bed that the left has made and now they get to sleep in. This is what happens. This is what happens. I'm not calling for Van Jones or any of those people to have their voices silenced or to face any sort of legal repercussions for the things that they've said, because that would be infringing on their First Amendment right as well, and I am not for that. What I am for is for someone like CNN, the New York Times, whomever it is, all of the leftist rags and channels, to maybe find a little moral character and backbone and fire those assholes. They're talentless hacks. I don't know why you keep them anyway, why you pay them 1 nickel. It would take 10 seconds to turn your complete garbage dumpster fire of a network around. It's not hard. It's very easy. It's very easy. I'll put Fox News into that as well. You had a superstar sitting there, you fired him, and now he's running scorched earth all over everybody. Say what you want about the guy, but he's got the #1 podcast in all the world, and he don't give 2 fucks about nothing. I can only imagine what's coming from Tucker Carlson now that this has happened. This is going to radicalize a lot of people. It's going to take people who weren't necessarily hyper-political or even very political, and it's going to turn them into something hopefully for good, but maybe for bad. And that's where my small voice needs to come in, where your voices need to come in, and where cooler heads need to prevail. And we need to talk our friends off of the proverbial cliff, if you will, of doing things they can't turn back from. This doesn't mean that they need to be friends with the psychopaths on the left. And anyone still on the left who has any semblance of decency, I think it's time to leave. I think it's time to cash in your chips, and you don't have to go full-on Donald Trump supporter, but I don't know, man. When Stalin started just killing people at random in his terror in the Soviet Union, I don't know, maybe it's time to burn the Communist Party card. You don't have to go become a Republican or something else, but man, you got to leave that party, and that's where you assholes are at. That's exactly where you're at. If you can't do that, then you're on their side. If you can't do that and have a common decency to say, "Hey, man, I'm not on that side. I might not be on your side either, but I definitely ain't on that side," or with any of those people who are saying any of those things other than, "I can't believe this happened." Maybe it's time for us to look in the mirror and the things we said in the past and the weaponization we've made about race, ideology, and all of the negative things we've said about people on that other side that possibly led to this. If those people can't do that and you can't do that, you're just as guilty as the guy who shot him. Okay? Just as guilty as far as I'm concerned. You might as well be driving the getaway car, letting him get in, and driving him down to Mexico or to Canada or where the fuck ever and helping him get away. Because you're aiding and abetting that side. You're just as bad. You know, I think, trying to remember the Alexander Solzhenitsyn line. I'm going to butcher it, but he wrote the Gulag Archipelago, and he talks about in that book what he should have done, you know, hindsight being 2020, is that he should have fought the Bolsheviks with every tooth and nail and never let them take over. Well, here you are. The Bolsheviks are knocking on the door left. You can fight them tooth and nail, or you can go along with it, and they're going to put you up against the wall, or they're going to put you in the gulag first. It's coming for you. This kind of shit, you can't turn it off. Oh, it was all fun and games in the summer of love and George Floyd and Antifa, burning down police stations, ransacking businesses, beating up people, killing people. They were just fighting the power, man, for the name of racism or some bullshit. You donated to BLM. You did all of these things that you thought were really good. BLM just passed it on to Act Blue after they siphoned off a whole bunch for themselves. They didn't help any black people. They didn't help any minorities. They helped themselves get into power, buy nice shit, and now they've got you so goddamn snowed, there's nothing you can do about it. Right? So you're on the same side. Completely on the same side. You're on the side of murderers. You're on the side of the people who cannot be reasoned with. You've empowered, you've emboldened the Antifa types to keep their terror reign going. You're a communist piece of shit. And communists don't have rights because communists aren't people. Okay? They're not. Because you can't be a people with rights when all you have is an ideology, and the ideology is bigger even than you. You're not a person at that point. You're a pawn in a game. You are just a being living. You are the Matrix person back being fed off of by the machine. You're a useful idiot at best, and you're an accessory to murder at worst. There's no turning back. None. No turning back. Whether it's a poor innocent woman sitting on public transit being stabbed to death by a multiple time offender. I mean, how many times do you have to commit a felony, be convicted before we're just like, look, dude, you're gone. You're never coming back from this. You got two choices, bro. You can spend the rest of your life in prison, or you get a one-way ticket to, like, I don't know, fucking El Salvador or something. But you ain't going to be out in public to murder some innocent person. There's no turning back. This is where you get the strong man from, by the way. And there's a lot of people on the right who really don't know what to do who just want to be left alone. And now they're going, I don't know what to do, but this can't stand. And I don't know, maybe Trump's the guy. And they're willing to turn it over to somebody who just cleans it up, promises to clean it up, and just runs roughshod all over you people on the left. And guess what? You got it fucking coming, and you're gonna get it. It can be peaceful. It really can. I'm not preaching for any sort of civil war. That would be asinine. Civil wars don't help anything, except they kill a bunch of people, and we don't want that. But we're left with this mentality, this crossroads, if you will, of what now? What now? Major cities are wrecks all across America. People are fleeing cities left and right, trying to get out, all because of crime. Crime-ridden hellholes, where the criminals are the ones with all of the rights, and the innocent people are the ones who constantly are bombarded by criminals, by homeless, by all of the nonsense. All of it. You have once great cities in the United States in which they have to lock up toothpaste and deodorant and all of the things. And then a innocent citizen who wants to purchase it has to go get some flunky worker who probably hates their job. I shouldn't call them a flunky. They're working a job at which they could probably be assaulted, killed at any moment by some crazed person who has a rap sheet as long as the receipt they're going to print for you when you buy that, coincidentally enough. And they got to go get them just to buy deodorant or toothpaste or anything. All because we're letting the nutters run everything. So this is what you get. This is where we're at. We have a young father and husband dead for nothing. For nothing. Charlie Kirk never hurt anybody. Who did Charlie Kirk hurt? Oh, words are violence. Oh, I forgot. You idiots say that all the time. Words are violence. If you've ever said words are violence in a serious manner, you need to be deported. And we'll put you in the UK where they'll agree with you. Or El Salvador. And we'll let that guy handle you. Then you can hang out with the homies down there in the prison, and we'll see how that works out. Now you're going to find some real fucking violence. This can't stand. There is no live and let live with this, guys. How do you find common ground with people who just will blatantly murder an innocent person? Where's the common ground with the side that goes, oh, he only has 14 felony convictions. Maybe we'll get him on the 15th when he finally graduates to murder. How is there live and let live with that? And then you have the politicians in North Carolina. I forget the fat dope's name, but comes out and blames Donald Trump for it somehow. How does that work? How the fuck does that work? And then Donald Trump, deploys troops, federal officers' troops, to Washington, D.C. to clean up that shithole. And he catches hell for that. He cleaned it up, by the way, and the mayor thanked him. Imagine that. I thought she was going to clean it up by painting Black Lives Matter out on the street. Oh, did that not work? Did our good vibes not work, as you were calling the former and now current president a Nazi and Hitler? Oh, I'm for the black people, the mayor said, because I painted that thing on the ground. I used your tax dollars to graffiti the ground. But crime kept going. What the hell? Yeah. Crime kept going because you didn't do anything. You placated your side, who are a bunch of nut jobs, savages, who don't go to work, and the ones that do go to work go to high-paying jobs where they never have to deal with this, and then tell you it's your fault. And oh, these poor people. I don't know, maybe some good can come out of this. It's earth-shattering. It's very odd that I don't know how many people actually knew who Charlie Kirk was. I know he had a huge platform and voice for what it was in a political, political action network, and not a committee, but Turning Point USA is a massive organization. Charlie Kirk was a superstar within the podcast political world, right wing media, whatever we're calling it. He was an absolute phenom. He helped launch the careers of Candace Owens, among others. I think even Steven Crowder. But he was a champion for that side and a champion for other people. That's the other thing. How many people did he bring up? How many good people does he have working for him? How many people are made their lives better because of his organization, and people that they heard and people that they saw, and just gave young people a voice and young people a way to exercise themselves within the political movement. The Republican Party for 100 fucking years was just a bunch of old dudes. It's a bunch of neocon assholes who were just worried about like bottom lines of big business and blowing up places you'd never heard of before. And then all of a sudden, Charlie Kirk comes along, and a scant 13 years later, he's got the biggest political network on planet Earth, on the right, an absolute rising superstar, full of just young people. And if you look at any statistical data out there, the young people in America are leaning hardcore to the right. Cue the idiots on the left going, oh yeah, because they're the hardcore right, far right. They're going to do it. They're going to just double down. That's what's going to happen. That's why I say I don't know where you go from here, because there's no middle ground with someone who just doubles down or blames you for getting shot, or blames you for getting stabbed, or blames you for getting your shit stolen, or blames you because you have to ask the Walgreens worker to get this deodorant out of the package so I can fucking purchase it, at just coming from a job that I don't like. Walking down a street where I'm glad I didn't get stabbed in the face or assaulted by some crazed lunatic high on drugs who we can't get off this sidewalk because he supposedly has rights, even though he doesn't pay a goddamn thing into the system. But somehow he's got a fucking cell phone, and also somehow he's able to buy booze all the time. Maybe it's from panhandling, maybe it's from a card that he gets, because how is this person going to live if he doesn't have money, even though he's on the street? I don't know, get a fucking job like I have to. But no, I got to walk around as shit. Hope he doesn't notice me. God, he smells awful. And now he's gotten up, and here he goes. Is that a knife in his hand, or is that just the handle of an old dull knife? Why does he only have one shoe on? Why is he yelling at that light? I don't get it. Don't look at him. Don't look at him. Look down, but don't look away too much so he doesn't realize that you're looking away from him. Walk kind of fast, but not too fast so he don't startle him and catch his attention, and try to shuffle by him so I can go into this Walgreens, get the worker who hates their fucking job, and I totally get it. And please, can I purchase this deodorant and this candy bar and get the hell out of here? And why did I get the candy bar? I got the candy bar because I have to walk past the homeless crazed person again, and I'm going to throw it on the fucking ground so maybe he goes after it like a fucking dog, because he's out here living on the street like a fucking dog who's been allowed to just wallow in his own shit, get drunk, high, do whatever. He lives over there in a box on the alleyway. Oh my God, where did he get the box? How does he have a shopping cart? Why aren't we enforcing the crime of stealing the shopping cart? Because I don't know where the fuck you buy a shopping cart unless you're fucking Walmart and you're buying 1,000 at a time. Yet here we are, the citizen who's going to work, paying taxes, being raped over the holes by taxation of this shithole that I live in, so I can go home to an apartment that's not in a great area of town where I have to live with 5 roommates because we're paying $2,500 a month. I hope those other 4 asshole roommates aren't home. And if they are home, they better have fucking cleaned up the dishes. And if they didn't, I'm going to lose my fucking shit. They're going to double down on all of it. They're going to double down because they can't admit they're fucking wrong because they all went to an elite university or maybe one just under because they were white or Asian, so they couldn't actually get into the university they wanted to get into because they had already met the quota for the whiteys. And maybe they could have studied a little harder. Maybe their dad could have paid that guy a little more money, maybe bought a wing. I don't know. But I can't admit that I'm wrong because that would shatter my entire world and my entire belief system because I don't know. Someone told me so, even though this doesn't work, and I'm going to blame capitalism, and maybe we should do more of a socialized thing where, like, the state takes over and does all the shit, and, you know, the state's kind of in charge now, but it's not the homeless guy's fault, and it's not the state's fault. It's capitalism's fault because it left the guy behind, so now he's homeless. Again, I hope he doesn't stab me. But hey, maybe just maybe you're wrong. Maybe just maybe you don't even have to admit you're wrong. Maybe you just fade into fucking oblivion. Never vote again. I don't know. Maybe go to El Salvador where I can tip off that dictator guy who calls himself a president and he can throw you in that prison. I don't know. Maybe just fade off. Never talk again. Shut the fuck up. Sit down. Try to look pretty or something and just relegate yourself to never talking again because you're all ruining the fucking country and ruined great cities in this once great country, still a great country. You've ruined the cities, and now you've got blood on your hands. And it's not just Charlie Kirk. He's just the most high profile of them. There's been hundreds before him. There was this poor Ukrainian refugee woman who fled the war that you created, by the way. You did that too. Because Putin bad, so we must do thing. Even though you laid all the groundwork, yes, Putin still didn't have to go in. You're right. He didn't have to invade, but you gave him no fucking choice. Just like you gave him no choice in Georgia in 2008. Just like you gave him no choice in Chechnya in the late 90s. You propped up all those assholes. You went after him. You threatened him with the NATO stuff. And hey, he ain't Boris fucking Yeltsin. He might be in the family, but this dude's got a set, and he ain't afraid to come at you. So now, here's where we're at. This woman has to flee her home country of Ukraine because you turned it into some proxy war for God knows what reason. I don't know why we need Ukraine. I don't know why. I know why Ukraine needs us. I don't give a shit about Ukraine. I really don't. I don't really. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, it's a civil war. They'll fucking settle it. I don't give a shit about Iraq. I don't give a shit about Iran. I don't give a shit about Saudi Arabia. I don't give a shit about the UK or Germany. Kind of care about Ireland a little bit, but not really. I got German and Irish heritage. Don't care. I'm American. I care about America. Stop fucking it up. Stop weaponizing these assholes. Stop inciting these crazed people to do crazy things by calling everyone Hitler or Nazis or anything. You're ruining you're making the term useless of Nazi. It's completely useless. You've taken one of the worst atrocities ever to happen in the world by a political group, taking over a country, gassing people to death, murdering them in the streets, rounding them up. Millions of people. Before we even talk about the war death toll and the displacement of just German citizens, you're taking a group that did some of the most horrific things on planet Earth throughout history, written record, and you're making their term meaningless. Because, I don't know, words are violence? What does that even mean? Words are violence. So basically, when you start to, so that's your new racist. Once you start to lose the argument like you are now, you're just going to say, well, we need just to bring down the tone because these words can cause violence or some shit like that. Yeah, they can cause violence. But the words don't cause violence. That's where you're wrong. Your rhetoric inflames people. It brainwashes people. You know, we can all sit there and talk about the pastor and televangelist that preaches the fire and brimstone, and then at the end he tells you to send me money, and he bankrupts some grandma at $20 a piece. So every 3 days a week she's sending $20 to this bastard and keeps sending money because she thinks she's going to go to heaven or something if she keeps sending this crazed bastard money. Like, we totally get it, how that works. You're doing the same thing, just in a different way. It's pure goddamn propaganda. That's what it is. You're inflaming populations by telling them they're going to be killed. You've done it with the black population. You have. The left has told the black population for the last 50 years, maybe 60 years, that they are second-class citizens, that they can't do things on their own because of institutional racism or some other thing or slavery or whatever. And now you've graduated, telling them that there is a target on their back, that when they step out of the house, the police are just looking to kill them. They're looking to shoot them. Well, that's weird. Why do they hire black police officers? Do they shoot themselves in the back? How does that work? Sounds like a Hillary Clinton hit job if he shot in the back and you called it suicide. How is that working out for everyone with the rhetoric in the black community that not only you're not good enough and you can't make it on your own, so we have to have affirmative action because according to the people that tell you that you can't make it, there's racism, even though that's racism, to tell you can't make it just because you're black, because of something that had nothing to do with you 150, 200 years ago called slavery, that now you can't make it and we have to give you this help up. So if you don't get the hand up, you just get the hand out. How does that work for that population? Are they doing really good economically? Oh, by the way, if you want to do good economically, black population, go get an abortion. There's something very odd when you look into the population demographics of the United States and that the black population has shrunk. Maybe it's because of lynching. How is it the black population has shrunk? How does that? Could it be the destruction of the family, helped by the left in the Great Society Act? Huh? So the Deceit was the Great Society Act and the food stamp programs and the get the fathers out of the homes so we can help these poor black single mothers. And now you have an epidemic of single motherhood and generational single motherhood in the black population, which has not worked out well. Then you have the ghettos in which they put them in, the redlining, all of this done by the left, by the way, every bit of this, put you all into these groups, created the crime epidemic in your communities. And now they have to tell you, well, it's because of the Republicans. How does that work? You create the problem, now you allegedly have the solution, but you don't have any solutions. You're all full of shit. Every bit of you is full of shit. And you have blood on your hands now. You absolutely have blood on your hands. You could have like a mea culpa. You could have a come to Jesus meeting with yourself. You could go out and say, hey, we were wrong. Hey, maybe we shouldn't do this. Oh, you know what? Because you're so talented on CNN and at the New York Times and the Washington Post and all these other rags and shithole networks, you're so talented, you could just quit and start a podcast and make a ton of money and do your own thing. And then now you don't have anyone telling you what to do. You can do your show whenever you want. You can dress however you want. You can have on whoever you want. You can do all of those things. But, oh, wait, you don't have any talent. You have the cush gig. If you had talent, you would go do it, right? How's it working out for Don Lemon? Where's he been? Hell, he got fired from Twitter. How you get fired from Twitter? I don't get it. You know, it exists on the right, too. I'm sure Bill O'Reilly's somewhere doing something, but I don't know where the fuck it is. So he's gone too. Another talentless hack, just like Sean Hannity. Another talentless hack, although allegedly a really good guy in his private life. But hey, if he was really talented, wouldn't he go the Tucker Carlson route? Tucker Carlson seems like the most free guy on planet Earth. The way he acts, the way he talks, the things he says. And I absolutely love to see it. He seems unencumbered by anything, and the muzzle is off that guy. You don't have to like him. You don't have to like all the guests. You don't have to like what he says. That's fine. Don't care. We can agree to disagree. See how that's done left? I don't want to hurt anybody who disagrees with me. I don't. All of these things over my right shoulder, it's a hobby. I'm not planning anything other than maybe going out target shooting. You see how easy that is? I have all of the means in the world to be a crazy, angry, violent person, and I don't do it. I have no interest in doing it. As I was talking with one of my friends just this week, who said something to the effect of, I think mostly we agree, but there's some things we disagree on, something to that effect. And I said, absolutely. Yeah, we agree on probably 90% or whatever. But I'm not interested in being friends and talking to people that I agree with 100%. I'm not. I don't agree with anyone 100%. Fuck, I don't agree with myself 100%. I changed my mind on a lot of things. The guy I am today is not the guy I was at 20 or 25 or 30 or 35. Not politically, not mentally, none of it. And if you're 40 and you have the exact same belief system you did at 20, that's weird. Like, I can understand being like, fundamentally Christian or religious of some sort, and you're going to hold those beliefs. But even those are going to kind of evolve a little bit over time. There is not just an exact bang. That's it. If you're done growing, if you're done mentally adapting to things, mentally understanding new things, mentally kind of looking inward or outward or anything, if you haven't done that in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, please deport yourself, because you're incapable of being in society. You really are. At the very least, never vote, because you are incapable of voting correctly. Your voting privilege should be struck from you. There should be some sort of like national voter test or something. There really should. Oh, but voting's a right. No, it's not. It literally fucking is not. Voting is not a right. It is a privilege. It exists because the government exists. If the government ceased to exist tomorrow, what would you need a right to vote on? There is no right to vote. It's nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense. That's another thing the left wants to tell you. Oh, you have the right to vote in our democracy. First of all, you don't have a right to vote. There is no right to vote. Second of all, this isn't a fucking democracy. No one can ever point in the Constitution where it ever mentions the word democracy. When you read some of the founding fathers, actually a lot of the founding fathers, they were like, this is definitely not a democracy. That's pretty much what they said. We are not creating a goddamn democracy. We're not. They just should have put that in the Constitution. If this ever, there should be like an addendum or something, like an asterisk somewhere on like Article 4, Section 4, in which it talks about where all the states are guaranteed a Republican form of government. There should be an asterisk that's like, see page 35 or something, that says, hey, if this ever devolves into a democracy, hit the reset button now. And if you don't know what the reset button is, well, pull out the Bill of Rights and read the second one. That's the reset button. Are we hitting the reset button? No, we are not hitting any reset button. Do we have a reset button that we can hit? Yes, we do. But the reset button is the nuclear option for the citizenry. We are not there yet. We're on the road, everyone. We are on the road to the reset button. This is a cataclysmic event. The world in which you woke up in on September 10th, 2025 does not exist today. It's just like the world you woke up in on September the 11th, 2001 didn't exist by the end of that day. These are earth-shattering events. Yes, 9/11 was much more world-changing than the assassination of Charlie Kirk. But the impact of this, the ripple effect, if you will, is going to be massive. It's going to be catastrophic. It can be good. One of the things that we have to not let happen is the word, voice, message, movement of Charlie Kirk cannot die. It cannot fade into oblivion. It must be carried on. We need to carry that torch. Yes, we are just average people, even me. I'm just some idiot in the back room of his house who apparently has much more of a loud mouth than he ever thought he had. That's all I am. But I am yelling into a microphone. I do have a little bit of a reach right now. But to people who have a much bigger reach than me, and to you listening, watching, those who hear this later, you have friends and family. You can reach out to them. You have an Aunt Karen or Debbie or an Uncle Tom or an Uncle Bob or an Uncle whomever whom you might not be on the greatest of terms with because of Donald Trump's election and he hates Trump or whatever. You can reach out to that person. Don't expect them to reach back to you. But that doesn't mean you can't send them an email, leave them a voicemail, send them a text message. Fuck, write them a letter, whatever it takes. Something that tells them, hey, I understand we've had a disagreement in the past. These events recently have emboldened me to look out for you, and I just want to let you know that I hold no ill will, blah, blah, blah. If you can't figure out what to write, I don't know, DM me on Twitter and I will help you, or send me an email or whatever. It's in the YouTube description or some shit. I don't know. You can reach out to me and I'll help you write the letter, whatever it is. But you can do that little part. It's just like when we talk about, when you're at Thanksgiving and your crazy aunt starts talking about Donald Trump, this, that, or the other. You have to ruin Thanksgiving and set her straight. You have to. Because this is where it goes. Any sort of horrible, bad, evil behavior like this that goes unchecked, this is the result. These are the fruits of their retarded labor. This is what it breeds, guys. This cannot stand. I wish it would have never gotten to this point. I was hoping that it was never getting to this point, but I think a lot of you listening to this probably had the same thought that I did when this happened of, well, it finally happened, didn't it? We dodged a bullet, kind of literally, back in Butler, Pennsylvania. That would have been an absolutely just unshakable, earth-shattering event as well. Had that gone, a few inches to the right. Unfortunately, this one hit, and it's very, very close to, it's so senseless. He was so young with such a huge future in front of him that it's almost just as earth-shattering that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. It's just so senseless. If you can't understand the senselessness of it, or the more just the absolute devastation that this is, if you can't remove the political from the personal, just him as a person, him as a human being, as a father, as a husband, if you can't look at that side of it, that he was a human being, then maybe there's no hope for you whatsoever. And I fear and I'm afraid that that's exactly what we're dealing with. That's why I opened this show by saying the world you knew no longer exists. Because all of those posts, tweets, you see them on the Facebook, you see it everywhere. Apparently Reddit and the Blue Ski is going nuts that people are cheering what happened. And that's sick. That's absolutely sick. No one should cheer that on either side. That's sick. Soldiers don't cheer when the other side is killed. They don't. They understand. It's a job. It's a dirty job. And one side's got to go, and it might as well be them. But none of them are happy about it. In the moment, they might be excited and have some sort of joyous feeling. But those feelings fade. Talk to any soldier who's been in it and then been out of it. They don't like it. Everybody understands it. But they don't like it. So if you're out there championing what happened to Charlie Kirk, or even to that poor woman in Charlotte, or even to George Floyd, if you were happy that what happened to George Floyd happened, you're just as bad as the other side. Just as bad. None of us wanted George Floyd to die. Most of which is Derek Chauvin. Did not want that man to die. Nobody wanted him to die. But it happened. It happened pretty much at his own hand. But that's a sad day. It's a sad day when a guy wastes his life like that and dies. That's sad. You don't need to build murals or paint murals and build statues. But it was a sad day. Just like the Civil War was a very, very sad day in the United States of America. Very sad. And the soldiers and the generals especially knew how sad a day it was, and the president at the time. Everybody knew it was a sad day. But you know what? They were at an impasse. There was no middle ground. There was no more letting the South or the slave states hold slaves. There was no reaching across the aisle anymore. That's where it went. We need to avoid that at all costs. We can't do that. They understood that in the 1850s. They understood that in the 1840s. Unfortunately, it got there in the 1860s. But guess what? There was a movement, the turn of the century of the 1900s. After the Industrial Revolution, anarchism and communism was a big thing in the United States of America, and World War I did not help that whatsoever. You have people now flooding into cities without jobs or skills to get a job. We're disillusioned, and they see the capitalist system is leaving them behind. They see people getting rich, oil barons, tycoons of industry getting massively wealthy as they're scraping by. So they dive into anarchism. They dive into communism. They start blowing things up. They start going after the leadership. They start doing all the things. I can't make it, and now they're dragging me into war to go to Europe and fight I don't know who for I don't know what into the trenches. We didn't plunge into civil war then. We found a way out. We found some common ground. Did deport a lot of anarchists and a lot more communists. So maybe that's the answer. But we found a way through that. We found a way again in the late 60s and early 70s, a very tumultuous time in this country. Some of you were alive during that. Pretty much all of our parents were alive during that. Well, I don't know. Some of you might have grandparents alive during that. But a lot of people who went through the 60s, late 60s, early 70s are still alive today. They knew what was going on. Vietnam, Woodstock. You had presidential assassinations. You had assassinations of civil rights leaders. You had all kinds of assassinations, bombings. You had all kinds of anarchist groups and left-leaning groups popping up, doing all kinds of stuff. We found a way through that. We found a way through that. We didn't plunge into civil war then either. We found a way. Somehow, some way, even through the Civil War, the world over thought that capitalism was a failure and that we were doomed and we had never come back. We came back stronger somehow, some way. Even after the Civil War, we found a way to be friends again, to be countrymen again, to find some common ground. We found a way. We always find a way. So, is this an absolute impasse with the left? Unfortunately, it's going to be up to them. Is this the event that finally gets them to understand what we're talking about and how bad they've let it get? Is this the event? Can this be the one that finally puts an end to this bullshit, to this nonsense, to all of this, it's your fault, so we must do X, Y, and Z to you? Is this the end of it? Are we going to stop blaming a gun, an inanimate object? Are we going to stop blaming words? Are we going to start living back in reality again? Are we going to stop trying to do horrific things to the children? Are we going to come back to fucking reality? It doesn't look like we are in the early stages. You have all of the political leaders on the left who are talking about, oh, we need to do X, Y, and Z, and we need to ratchet it down. You have Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton talking about we need to get together and dim down this violence. There's no place for violence, and dim down the rhetoric. Funny coming from people who have launched wars in places most people have never heard of and killed untold sums of brown people for God knows what. Ruining the country financially while doing it. Not sure why we had to go to war with Muammar Gaddafi. Not sure why we had to go to war in Syria with Bashar al-Assad. Not sure why we had to go to war with Saddam Hussein. Still not sure. But maybe, just maybe, this is the event that gets the constituency of some of those politicians, like a Gavin Newsom, to turn and look at him and go, I don't think this guy's it. I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of this. Trump didn't do this. We're almost certain a Trump supporter did not do this. Aren't we? You cannot blame Donald Trump for this one, no matter what kind of pretzel you turn yourself into or some sort of mental gymnastics you get yourself into. There is no way to blame Donald Trump for this one. Zero. Zilch. This happened in a gun-free zone. This happened at a college campus, full of 3,000 young people excited to see Charlie Kirk and his TPUSA event, in which he would challenge people. He would ask people who come up to disagree with him, to challenge him with a question, and then they would engage in the age-old sacred thing we call freedom of speech in a debate. And it cost him his fucking life. I don't understand it. I don't want to understand it. I just want everyone to understand this. This very well may be an impasse. This should be your red line if you're on the right or in the middle, or if you want any sort of semblance of normalcy. Understand that there are some people that need to come to your side, not you go to their side. And if they're unable to leave the nutter side and come to the normal side, to the sensible side, well, that's an impasse, and we have to do something about that. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's getting rid of them by deporting them. Maybe it's putting them in prison. Maybe it's just ostracizing them. Maybe it's capturing so many numbers, bringing them to the middle and to our side that they can't operate anymore, and they're just ostracized from civil society forever. Maybe that's the way. I don't know. Basically, you'll have to figure that one out. I hope there's not a huge impasse, and I hope we can get through this with normalcy and with decency. I just want to end by saying thank you to everyone for watching, for listening, for downloading, doing all the things. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. God bless his family. God bless his friends. God bless his organization. God bless the United States. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. You will be missed.